everybody, and welcome to MangaPod. We are a weekly podcast in which we all get together after we read all or part of a manga, and then we discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. This week, we are discussing Ace of Diamond, Volumes 1 through 5, Chapters 1 through 40, as a continuation of our March Madness Sports Manga Month that we do every single year, where we just talk about all the sports manga, and it's pretty wonderful. I am Erin of Happily Erin, your host, and with me are two of my three lovely co-hosts, as well as a very special guest. Let's go around and have everyone introduce themselves, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dodger, and I've been badgered for, I want to say, years to watch the Ace of Diamonds anime, and I never did it.
By who?
And so now I'm in a position where I had to read the manga, and I'm very excited to talk about it with specifically Erin, who is a super fan. So,
It's true.
Hi guys, I'm Lou. I'm from Lou Talks Anime. I'm also a fan of the anime of this anime of Ace of Diamond. Not quite as big a fan as Erin is, but I do love the anime, and I'm excited to talk about this manga. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And our lovely guest.
Hi everyone, I'm Alyssa from AnimeIntensity. I do a lot of anime things on my channel. Today I'm here to discuss Ace of Diamond. I've never watched the anime before, and I haven't really read a lot of sports manga, so it's very different for me, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. So
Yes.
thanks for having me here.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining. If you guys have never joined us for a manga pod before, what we like to do is give you a short spoiler-free description of the manga that we read, aka a summary that will be read by a lovely AnimeIntensity, and then we will give you our spoiler-free recommendations, whether we think you should spend time going to read this manga or not. That way, if it sounds like something you're interested in, you don't have to hang around for spoiler section. You can take your leave, go and read what we read, and then come back and watch the VOD of this on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/happilyerin, where all the previous manga pods are hosted. We also ask that nobody in chat post any spoilers until we get to the spoiler section, and then after we get there, don't post any spoilers. Okay, thought I was gonna burp, but it got stuck somewhere.
story of my
Went
life.
away. We ask that you don't post any spoilers for anything past chapter 40. We are very serial about spoilers. We ban, timeout, all of that fun stuff. Don't even post a fake spoiler because you just don't risk it. Yeah. So let's go ahead and have our spoiler-free description, please, Lindy.
Yep, okay, so Ace of Diamond follows the story of Eijun Sawamura, and he's a pitcher who joins an elite school with a brilliant catcher named Kazuya Miyuki. Together with the rest of the team, they strive for Japan's storied Koshien championships through hard work and determination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very
So short and
concise
sweet.
summary, as opposed to, like, Battle Angel Alita's that's 5 freaking paragraphs long. Not that I'm bitter about that or anything. Anyway, thank you so much for
Not a
reading
problem.
that. Let's go ahead and do spoiler-free recommendations, whether you guys would spend time or recommending this manga to people. I can go first as a super fan
Sure, Erin,
of
go
not
for
only
it.
the manga but also the anime. I adore this manga. I think it's very different than a lot of sports manga and anime are, especially nowadays, where like everything is hyped up and just like over the top and crazy. This one is, I think, definitely a lot more grounded. And I adore the characters. Miyuki is my husbando. I love him forever and ever and ever. He's on my husbando blanket right here that Dodger got me for Christmas. It's backwards because my camera did a stupid flip thing and I don't know why. But yeah, if you like sports, anime, or manga, this is definitely one that you need to check out. And even if you haven't watched any, I think it's a very good intro into the genre as well. I think it's a lot of fun. The pacing of the manga is a lot better than the pacing of the anime, and that's somebody who likes the anime. The pacing of the manga is a lot better. The art, I think, is also fantastic, and it's just I'll go more and more, but I really like this. I really like this story, and I think it's one that everybody should check out for sure.
I'm gonna echo everything Aaron just said because I am also a fan of the anime. This is my first time reading the manga, and I thought it was a, a more enjoyable way to experience an already great story. Um, in terms of how much we were able to cover in the manga, I was telling Aaron before, like when we first were trying to set up the call before all the tech issues, I was telling Aaron beforehand that I was blown away by how much material was covered. It seems like we didn't get very far into the story, but when you look at the anime, it took like 15 episodes to get here,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of, I don't know, kind of a slog in comparison when you think that it took like maybe an hour to read as much, or well, a few hours to read as much as we did. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed the experience of reading this manga, and knowing that we've read about 10% of the total manga,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it kind of motivates me to want to read more because it's over. Like yeah, there's a spinoff, but the proper
Yeah.
Ace of Diamonds story is done.
Yeah, there's a sequel to it that's going on right now, too. So, it's a lot of Ace of Diamond. Anyway,
Mhm.
Dodger, were you playing with like filters on your camera or something?
I was looking at I looked at the video preview of what the stream looked like, and I looked like a weird vampire person. All of you guys had like a lovely warm glow to you, and then I looked like I was a creature of the night, just like skulking in my library. So I decided to tweak the color correction a little
I
bit.
just
Anyways,
saw you like your face just like.
Yeah, I made myself less warm. Do you feel better now, Dodger?
Lou put himself into the vampire for you.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't watched the anime, like I said, so I can't comment on whether, the manga is better paced or anything like that from the anime. But what I can say is, in our time on MangaPod, we've read some sports manga that is way over the top, and we've read some sports manga where the sports really take a back seat and it's more about the characters. And I think that this one was like right in the middle. Like nothing felt super over the top. And the characters were still like really well fleshed out, really enjoyable to read about. And I felt like something that sports manga either does awesome or terrible is explain the sport. And I think that this manga explains baseball in a way where you're like, I don't feel like I'm being overwhelmed right now. And that's a nice feeling. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I enjoyed reading it a lot.
Yep, definitely. And I feel the same way, honestly, because I usually don't read sports manga. It's not like the genre that I usually go to, but I could see myself reading 400 chapters of this manga because it's just so entertaining and so natural.
Mhm.
And, yes, it's baseball. We all know baseball. We've seen baseball all the time. And I feel like that's why it's so relatable, too. It's a sport that we see very often. The characters are relatable as well. And what I really liked also was the passion, like in the summary, the determination. Like we see that throughout the entire manga, well, like what we've read so far, but like I'm pretty sure we could see that throughout the entire manga, that passion and that drive. And that's what I've really loved about Ace of Diamonds so far, and I would totally read more of it because it's so amazing. So I was definitely surprised. I didn't expect to enjoy it this much, and I'm like, I need to watch this anime now. Like, where have I been?
Yeah.
What have I been doing?
Right, Dodger?
Yeah.
Look, whoa.
Not to put you on a spot or anything, but
Not
Look,
to call
I'm
you
working
out,
through my-
but I'm
my
calling
list,
you
okay?
out.
I'm working through my New Year's list. Okay, I made it through Blue Exorcist. Okay, I got one of them gone.
Okay. You watched Blue Exorcist, so I forgive you.
Thanks.
All right, so we're going to jump into spoiler section. That wraps it up for our spoiler free. If you guys don't want to be spoilered, now is the time to take your leave. And then you can come back, like I said, and watch the VOD of this after you have read it. So let's go ahead and do our countdown, please.
5. Sorry, I was telling somebody that even if you don't like sports, you should still give sports anime and manga a try.
Yes,
5,
definitely.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yuki is
Yuki's
God.
God.
Yes.
Dude, everybody wants on that Miyuki booty. Like the whole story, everybody was like, Miyuki is going to be my catcher. No, Miyuki is going to be my catcher. And I was like, damn. Miyuki's a hot commodity.
Everybody wants him.
But I love Chris though.
Oh my
Chris
god.
is
Yeah.
so fucking cool.
I love Chris so much. I adore him. Which was I mean, we can get into it, but like I loved the addition of Chris because we first meet Miyuki within like the first 2 chapters, and you're like, oh, he's this prodigy catcher. Like we're gonna get to see him make a battery with Sawamura immediately, and it's gonna be their whole thing. And then very quickly we're like, oh, we're not gonna see like barely any Miyuki. Like Sawamura's not with him at all. Who's this other guy? And then he ends up being like so cool. And it's totally the tragic senpai story, but done really well.
Yeah, I didn't expect us to get as much. I don't know. For some reason, I thought that Chris was going to wind up, being, the knowledgeable senpai, but I didn't think we were going to get I didn't think we were going to delve as much into who he is and why he's important and why everybody loves him. And within just a couple of chapters, I was like, Chris, I love you. And I think you're the best catcher ever. And
I would like to say that because the Ace of Diamond anime started like in 2014 or something like that. And I used to watch it at the gym when I was on the elliptical or the treadmill as like my inspiration to keep going. And the episode,
your pump up anime,
my pump up one, the episode where the very last few chapters we read, when you find out that like Chris isn't, major spoilers if you're hanging around here, Chris doesn't make it to the 3rd string, and like you have the breaking down of all those 3rd years. That episode I was watching on the elliptical, and I was just crying,
sobbing,
like I just looked like I was a hot mess. But we can get, like I said, more into this because we're kind of kicking it off in a really random order this time. But I still felt those feels even having read, because I've read this part of the manga like once. I think this is my 3rd time reading it, and so I still felt those feels just the same. I felt the feels the first time when I watched it in the anime. Should we jump backwards? Start with the question we usually start with, which is, what were your expectations before reading this manga? We kind of already touched on them, but do you guys have anything else you would like to add to it?
I have something to add.
Hit it.
So I didn't know what to expect going into reading this manga in terms of how the story was presented. I knew that I enjoyed the story and the characters in its anime form. And as I kind of alluded to in my little spoiler-free recommendation, I expected it to be a lot slower. I expected it to be more build to certain things, and I didn't get that. The manga was able to subvert my expectations by presenting its story in a more concise form than the anime did. And I think it benefited the manga in certain places where, like, I feel the games flowed a lot more smoothly and I got what I needed out of them without them being too overwhelming. I would imagine later on in the manga, the games are going to get a little bit longer, but that's okay because, there's more weight to those games. There's more going on. But I did feel that it did lose something in its form, where I feel that the emotional payoff from seeing Chris just be forced to not participate or continue playing and being forced onto the bench, I felt more of an impact from it in the anime than I did in the manga. But yeah, that's like the key difference between the two. And I feel that I'm not necessarily upset by the fact that I lost on those big moments because I've already experienced them before. But I feel like I did gain more of an appreciation for what can be done with an adaptation. Like just slowing down to tell a story can change your experience with it. For the record, the anime was animated by Production IG and Madhouse. Like they worked together on this, so it looks pretty fucking great. That said, well, we can talk about the manga's art later, but spoiler, I think it's fucking great.
I would say whenever I start reading a sports manga, I assume right off the bat that the school that they're going to be at is a school that doesn't care about that sport and is super tiny and nobody knows about it and they have to prove themselves on the battlefield, so to speak. Like that is the classic formula. And going into this not knowing anything about Ace of Diamond aside from the fact that Eren loves Miyuki, whoever the fuck that is past me, and that it's about baseball, it was really surprising for me to go into it and have them be like, our school is amazing at baseball. Everybody here works really hard and they take it really seriously. And the whole school knows that the baseball team is awesome. And I was like, really? Huh. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Like that whole hurdle. And it does get introduced a little bit in what we read. This whole idea of if you guys don't showcase that you're the very best this year, the coach is going to get booted, that whole thing. But I liked that that they have that support system from the get-go that isn't like a story arc or an element to the story where they have to like prove themselves to the school or anything like that. That's such a common trope with this. So I enjoyed that as well. It surprised me.
I think what surprised me about this manga was that there's no like gimmick, I guess you could say. Like there's nothing like out of the ordinary. Like there's no superpowers or something that doesn't look natural that, like sometimes, like my best example is Kuroko no Basket. I love that anime. I love the manga too. But it's like some of the things, it's like, I can't, can you really do that?
Yeah.
So I think with this manga, it's not like that. And that's what I like about this, because it feels like something more that we could actually see in person. So I really liked that aspect to it. And I also liked, like, just like how you were saying, Dodger, about like the whole, like how the competition is like, there's a lot of people who are like so skilled. That's also something different because usually, yeah, we expect the school like not to really care too much. And then we have this one person who's really good at it. But here we have A-kun, and he's going to the school and everyone is so good. And he's like, I have to catch up to that. Like, this is what I'm against. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about that as well. And that was surprising to me and made me want to read it more, just because we have so much competition around. It's like, you want to read and you want to see what's going to happen because there's so many skilled people that you want to see how everyone turns out, not just our main character. So that was very surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really I got fooled a little bit because I thought when he started to do Chris's like warm-ups and all of that stuff, and Chris said that he needed to do it for a year in order to be acknowledged, I was like, whoa, are we going to spend an entire year? And I was cool with it. It's like, are we going to spend an entire year where he's just like training his body, like just trying to be good enough to even remotely keep up with the second and third years? Like that would be really interesting. And obviously that wound up not happening, but yeah, that whole, the fact that we didn't have, this rookie coming in who's our main character and have everybody be like, your first string material. They were like, no, you need to fucking, you don't even know how baseball works, dude. Like, you've got a lot to learn.
Well, we did kind of get that character type with Furia, though.
Yeah, we did.
Like the super overpowered first year that's like is made
He's
for
such a
this
sad
sport.
baby, though.
Yes.
I love when. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I was gonna say, like, I just love how when he's first introduced, you're like, oh, he's the like dark, handsome, like stoic
serious
type.
one.
And then you just slowly see that he's just a big dork who just wants Yuki to catch his pitches. Like he can't even catch a ball when it gets thrown to him. Like it just bounces off his glove every single time. like, you're just a big dork.
Yeah, I like that everybody constantly points out, like, it's obvious that either of you have ever done is thrown balls. Like, you don't know how to do anything else. But
Yeah.
for Furia, he's got enough control that he's able to make it work, at least for now. And yeah, I love how often we get those little side bits where he's just like, I wish I could hang out with them, or I wish I was playing right now. He just like seems really lonely and sad just on his own. And I'm like, do you realize how jealous everybody else is of you? And he's just like, I just want somebody to catch my pitches. I just want to hang out with people who don't hate me.
I wish I
If you were to
was
take
playing
his ability
baseball.
away, he would be he's the Kuroko of Ace of Diamond in terms of like personality, and I think like he's very like deadpan and serious.
He's very deadpan.
He is very
Yeah.
deadpan.
That's why I
But
love...
he's not precious the way that Kuroko is.
No, he's not.
Kuroko seems like a tiny puppy boy.
I do love the moment with Furia where he totally acknowledges like Sawamura, where he tells Miyuki, I never once thought that I was better than him. And that's just such a good moment to see early on, because we don't have this like stereotypical rivalry between them. Like there definitely is, because they both want to be pitchers, but it's not in a way that you're like, oh, this is going to be an entire arc, but it's just going to be integrated like naturally and pieced in there along with the growth of like all the other characters. And so I'm glad that we got to see that very early.
Yeah, which I think makes sense, because from the very beginning, it's stressed this whole concept of like, you can't do this on your own. You need your whole team, and everybody needs to treat each other like teammates. So I'm glad that we don't have a really strong rivalry with two main characters that completely betrays that whole concept, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And another dork moment of his is when he gets told that he can't pitch because he like wasn't taking care of his nails. And he like goes out and meets
Oh my god, that
Sawamura.
creeped me out so bad when they showed his nail. I was
The nails
like,
broken.
no!
Oh. But one of my favorite scenes with those two is where Furia like goes out at night and they're both gonna run with the tires, and Furia's trying to make small talk, and he's like, "It's the moon and stars are so lovely, aren't they?" And Sawamura's like, "It's cloudy. What are you talking about?"
I forgot about that. That was so weird.
Just like, something that surprised me when I first watched the anime, I was like, is that an actual adult coach? It's like,
Yeah.
what? It's not just like a high school student or a manager? Like, what? So that was a different element that was very surprising to me that I love, because I love the coach and I love having that added experience with him and the like co-coaches or whatever they are. Just having him being the coach and seeing how he interacts with the players and how he teaches them in his own way is very refreshing for, I think, like almost all of the sports anime or sports manga that we've read. I don't know if we've had an adult as the main coach before. Like, I'm trying to remember off the top of my... I think maybe Cross Game has one. I can't
All
Yes.
Out
remember.
does.
All Out.
Cross game does. So
Yeah.
so baseball
But it's
anime
very-
basically.
It's very, yeah, it's
And
very
rugby.
And
far
rugby, too.
and in between where we have an actual adult.
Yeah, because even when he was introduced as the coach, he had such a, I don't know, his look was such where I was going, okay, here's the coach, but who's going to be the like wacky eccentric manager, or who's going to be like the coach's assistant, you know? And by the end of what we read, I love the coach. He's great. Just like what Aaron was saying. I just love the way that he interacts with everybody and how super straightforward he is. Like, he's really involved, even though he looks like a character that's going to be very standoffish. I love how involved he is with everything that happens in the story. Like, he's a character that's super necessary along with everybody else on the team. So it's awesome.
I like that one scene where he's teaching Sawamura his the form that he
The,
needs
like
to
towel
adopt.
trick.
Yeah. I
And
thought I
Sawamura
don't know
smacks
that
him in the
really
face.
yeah, it's just it says a lot about his personality and the fact that he didn't kill Sawamura after that,
Mm.
because
Yeah,
I would have
he's-
killed Sawamura after that.
I was gonna say that there was one scene that I liked when Akun is going to take a bath or whatever, and he sees the
Oh,
coach
yeah.
in there. He's like, I just came to relax, and the coach is there. And I thought that scene was really important just because that really brought out like what someone would have like wanted like in himself, because the coach was like, oh, like, why didn't you show up to the game? Like, why haven't you came to any of the games? And that really brought like a touching moment, and I feel like they bonded that time. It
Yeah.
was like a funny scene, and it was also touching. So I think that was like my favorite interaction between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the difference between the Sawamura that we had at the beginning, who was like, I can't watch the games, and I don't want to watch them play because it upsets me that I'm not out there, to the Sawamura that we saw near the end, who finds a lot of value in watching his teammates. I liked that. I like the progression that we're seeing in his character.
Yeah.
There was good character development.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you guys think about him? Like, what were your guys' feelings about Sawamura? Because I have talked to a few people about it, and like a lot of people have very mixed feelings. They're like, oh, he's just so annoying. Or other people are like, I just get so embarrassed for him, like, constantly.
His character is very similar to the main character in All Out. And the main character in All Out is way more cringy than he is. So I was like, oh, Sawamura is like a more successful version of the main character in All Out. I still love All Out, obviously, but yeah, reading it, I was like, oh, he's going through kind of the same steps where he's, the brash kid who just really loves the sport, but doesn't know anything about it and doesn't think that he necessarily needs to know anything about it. And I liked seeing that progression happen just in 40 chapters of him realizing like, no, I need to know how the game is played. I need to know what everybody else does. I need to understand the strategy so that we can work as a unit, I liked how quickly, and it didn't feel rushed. I liked the pacing of him realizing that, and realizing that he needs to be, more beneficial to the group and not just worry about whether or not he's having fun playing baseball, Yeah.
And I like that he like can own up to when he messes up, which is a very refreshing thing for a character. Like he can just be like, when he realized that what he said about Chris was completely out of line, he immediately, there was no this like awkward, he was like just gonna avoid the conversation. He like straight up went, Chris, I'm so sorry. Like, you're my inspiration now. I'm just gonna follow you everywhere and make you breakfast and ask you if you need more toilet paper, and just like starts creeping on him. And so I like that he like realize he's not afraid to grow or improve. He's just like a precious son. I just feel proud of him every single time he does something right. And seeing him in the last game where you played with Chris, what was nice was how at the very beginning, how nobody liked him. Like none of his like teammates or classmates, like some of them liked him, but most of them were like, who is this weirdo? Like this guy just keeps like talking, saying stuff, and it's never gonna happen. And nobody really liked him. But then near the end, you could see that there was so much endearment in their like little interactions that you could just see like it's a nice, like, we always get a character where people are like, yeah, he just draws people to him, like he's such a people person, he just causes people to be inspired. Whereas with Sawamura, it's like you can see that with like, even if it does get pointed out, it's like you can see that as a very natural character trait, which I think is really cool. Like it's definitely shown more than it's constantly like pointed out about. Like it's just is the thing.
Well, what I like is that it's not, because you're right, that is a really common thing for them to say, oh, I don't know what it is about him, but he just inspires friendship, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I liked that it wasn't that's not the way that they put it. It was more that he was always supportive. And I liked that they demonstrated that multiple times. It was just like he was always going to be that person who is supporting every member of the team and like telling everybody they were doing a good job and like keeping morale up. And I liked that we saw that displayed more than once, because I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me. That like he has that kind of Genki personality, and that's the way that he uses it when they're playing baseball. So,
like, I mean, we're talking about Sawamura's personality and the character that's developed around that personality. And what we've seen so far, I've liked the anime. As far as I think I've seen like 50 episodes of the anime. Um, I like where it goes more later down. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
But I from what we've seen of his character, I think he's developed in a very interesting way that feels organic. It doesn't feel like it's trying to follow tropes. Like
Mm.
that's not to say that tropes are completely absent from this manga because that's clearly not the case.
Yeah.
But it it has that nice balance between what is more realistic storytelling with what falls or what is to be expected from the genre. It's a nice balance between the two
Mm.
that in its own way feels refreshing.
Exactly. I think that honestly, like even from the first chapter where we see Sawamura, you could tell that he's already so passionate. Like when I think their team loses against another team and
Yeah.
they start trash talking and whatever, and Sawamura is like right there going to fight them all. And he's just one guy. He just wants to fight them all. And I think that's one thing that is common like throughout the entire what we've read so far is that he's always there for his teammates. That's the one thing. He's always there for them. He will always defend them, even if they do a bad job. He would just encourage them. And I think that's something that I just love about Sawamura and his character.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to his growth, like he was definitely more reckless in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you could see, it's like every single chapter, he just sees that he has to do better and he's not the best and he has to train and he has to keep on trying to do his best because he wants to be the ace, but it's not just going to be handed over to him. He has to work for it. And I think that's what we see, his growth through this manga, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, should we talk about my precious husbando?
Miyuki.
Yes.
Miyuki?
Sure.
Sure.
I love Miyuki though. It's just like I know you're gonna say all the cool shit, and I'm not gonna have anything to say because
you
you're gonna
go
say
first.
everything that's great.
You go first.
All right. Miyuki is Erin's husbando, and she deserves to say everything important and precious about him. So go ahead, Erin.
No,
I'm not gonna steal your thunder. I want you to say everything because you can articulate it perfectly.
Miyuki is the biggest little shit ever, and I
See?
love him.
Oh,
Miyuki is like, I don't know. I have adored his character from the instant I saw him in the anime, to like everything I've read about him in the manga. And I just like the fact that he is a very different prodigy character than we usually see. Like he's very confident in his ability. He's very like assured about what he can do, and he knows that he can like make or break a game. But the way he interacts with people,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
oh my, no worries.
The manga police are coming.
Talking too much about Miyuki. Just I love his interactions with other characters, and I just like the fact that he has a nasty personality. He's not just this golden boy. I like that other people are like, you're kind of like you're weird. Like you do some like really mean stuff to people. Like, and we see that very early with the fact that when Sawamura is late for lineup on the first day and Miyuki is also late, and Miyuki's like, listen, I'll distract him for you and you sneak in. And instead he just totally trolls Sawamura and like makes him take the fall.
Yeah.
But he's also not just this like, I'm trying to think about what to say. He's not like a serious character at all. Like he's not serious at all. And so the fact that he also gets called out by the coach and he makes like really dorky faces, I think just adds to it. But then he also has this he does have like a serious side, like when he gets pissed off at Sawamura because Miyuki like really adores Chris and like Sawamura steps over the line, and we get to see a different, much darker side of Miyuki. And that's something it just happens so much more. There's so much that happens with this character that like we see some in this 40 chapters, but there's so much more. So I could talk about Miyuki forever. He's also just very handsome with his glass. I'm not usually attracted to Megane, but something about Miyuki, I'm like, you look great with glasses and a hat. Like, you're awesome. I love him. I love his character design a lot too. So I could
With
go on
Miyuki,
and on and on and on.
with Miyuki, I feel like the only downside to what we read is the fact that there wasn't more of him.
Mm-hmm.
I love Miyuki.
Yeah.
He-
Definitely.
I agree.
like especially when you start to see, like, because it's gonna happen. Like I don't think I wouldn't call this a spoiler. Like there's gonna be more interaction between Miyuki and Saramura at some point down the line. Once that starts to happen, I mean, without spoiling anything, you can just imagine, based on the interactions that we've seen so far, how that's gonna play out. And it's great, and I love Miyuki. I want more of him involved in the story, which is why I want to read more. Like he is the main reason why I want to read more.
Mm-hmm.
But at this, like, I did want more Miyuki in what we read, but I think that it was almost better. Like, this section was almost better having Miyuki be, like, this princess that everybody really wanted. Like, I just loved, I thought that that's what made his whole arc with Chris really interesting, was that he obviously, like, didn't want to be with Chris, wanted to be with Miyuki, and, you know, had this whole story arc of coming to understand a completely different catcher, and realizing a lot more about the team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was glad that that happened, and that Miyuki is kind of like this weird, like, glimpse in the night where you just, like, see him every now and then. You're like, Miyuki, and then he's like, all right, well, I gotta go because I'm on the first string, bitches. And I'm like,
It's like, peace.
Yeah, Miyuki is definitely a charming character. I think, yeah, I definitely liked his character throughout what we read. I wish that we saw more of him, and I would definitely continue reading this manga just to see how his character changes, because we saw just a glimpse of it. So I want to see more. I want to know what's going to happen with him, because I thought his character was very, very interesting. So I'm curious.
yeah.
Oh, God, guys, listen, I'm not going to say anything specific, but there are some hella good scenes with Miyuki that come up not even like very long, like some happen very shortly after what we read, but there's just some really good stuff that I'm gushing over him now, but like if this was later on, I'd be like, guys, listen, you would totally understand even more if we like read more in the future. He's just great. I adore him. Trying to think about what else. Should we talk about art
Yeah.
real quick? What are you guys' feelings about the art?
I think it's great. I think it's all super clean. It's really important in a sports manga, because otherwise you're like, I don't know what's happening. It was really clear with these baseball games what was going on. So, yeah, I appreciated that. I like the designs of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I dug it.
Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah, I really have nothing to add, because it was clean. It was clean. It flowed well. I guess the only thing I would really add is the big moments were exceptional. Like there was so much attention to detail for like whenever there was a significant, like, you know, full page panel or almost full page panel. Like there was so much detail put into it that it looked like the illustration was just on another level. I guess if I had one gripe with it, it would be that the disparity between the majority of the art and the really like shining moments kind of took me out of the experience of reading it. But I mean, that's nitpicking really, because not, you know, they're not gonna, it's just impossible to draw that detailed and for the story to flow the way it needs to, because, you know, they have to convey more actions within a page than just one single panel, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, that would be my one and only gripe, is just like the art was too good at times. There we go. That's the problem.
That's funny. I feel like the art I feel like a lot of girls would like the art for this manga just because there's a lot of cute people. Putting that aside, honestly, the scenes, especially where like Sawamura is pitching or wherever we see pitching, I feel like we felt the energy through the art just because everything is just so intense, and I loved the way everything looked. So I love those scenes, and also some of the expressions, like facial expressions as well. They were just so like funny, and you could feel, it's like you could almost feel them because they were just drawn so well, and they like convey the emotions just through the art. And I really, really enjoyed the artwork for this manga. So I really enjoyed it, and I need to go watch the anime sometime.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would just like I agree with everything that you guys said. Like I think during the moments when it needed to have a lot of impact, it definitely brought that impact, or like the emotion, just everything. It was fantastic, especially when it needed to be fantastic. But I also think they did the like more like the funnier moments really well. It was never, the art fit the funny moments, and it also fit the dramatic moments, and so it was a very impressive balance of the two. And I also love all of the character designs. I think that they just fit so well with all of them, and like go along with like their personalities and everything. And it's just there's a time with like the background characters, like the second years and the third years. There's a lot of times where it's very easy to like be like, wait, is this one or this one? Like they kind of blend together. But all of the main characters definitely have very distinct looks to them, which I think is great. And there was one character that we forgot to talk about, which is little pinch hitter Haruchi.
Oh,
What did you guys think about him?
I mean, we haven't gotten a whole lot out of him. We don't know very much about him aside from the fact that his bro is there.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them interact much except for like a weird one-page antagonistic like
weird like
weird
foreboding
thing.
walking by each other.
Yeah. So yeah, I like right now he honestly is utilized as a sort of Sawamura support character. So I'll be happy when we get more information about him, because we don't know a lot about him yet, other than he's really good at baseball.
Yeah.
Just like his brother, you know. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you guys would like to bring up? Otherwise, we can move on to final thoughts and ratings.
I mean, we talked about a lot of the first years that were significant. Were there any of the third years that stood out to you? Because for me, I think Tamba is a fun character that is a very intense character that we'll see more of later. I like his character a lot. Like his story is very interesting. There's also a character that was featured more in the anime that we haven't really gotten. Like we've seen one panel of this character. The captain. Love the captain.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw like one picture of him and that's it so far. That was weird. I was like, oh, they have a captain.
The captain's great. I love the captain.
God, I don't. I love him.
We can't talk about it because we don't know anything.
I know. That's why Lou, when he's like the third year, so I was like, I can't say anything.
Okay, I'm not saying anything else. That's it. I just wanted to talk about those two because those two are also great.
It is correct that we should bring up Tamba because he's the pitcher kind of with the most on the line, because he is the third year pitcher, and it's interesting that they have 3 pitchers, actually 4, but the other one we've just kind of like gotten him in one-offs conversations a little bit. Having 3 pitchers, but having them all be so different but distinct, without it feeling like the mangaka's like, all right, I have to make this pitcher this way and this one this way, and like they just have to be like this. It's really interesting having that dynamic between the pitchers that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
So should we do final thoughts and ratings?
Sure.
Anybody want to go first? Because I don't want to go first.
All right, I'll go first. I have a number.
Right. I'm not sure what score to give this. That's where I'm getting held up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give this an 8. I think what we read laid the groundwork for an interesting story. That I know for a fact is an interesting story because I've seen 50 episodes of it. But I know that it's presenting that story in a more compelling way because of the pace at which it's being told. I think that's an advantage that the manga has, and that advantage is being played up as much as possible. Um, I appreciate the art. I love the characters. I've gotten everything I wanted out of my reading experience. Um, the downsides are that we didn't read enough into the story. We're still in the beginning, and like there aren't any real narrative stakes at this point. So I'm waiting to get to that point, because 40 chapters in, we should have a little bit more. Like we should be introduced to a little bit more of what's going to happen into the story, but we're nowhere near that yet, like at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I really enjoy it. I think an 8 is a fair score, and I know the score is going to go up from there. So 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I was thinking that I would give it an 8 as well because I did really enjoy it. I love all of the characters. I thought that it was paced well, and that the art is fantastic. You're right though, not a whole lot has happened. It's mostly just been, following Sawamura as he learns not to be a turd. So, I know that that's not going to be the whole story. But yeah, I've really enjoyed what I've read, and I want to read more really badly. So that's got to count for something, right? Like it's doing a good job so far.
Yeah, I think I give this manga, what we've read so far, I give it an 8.5, and that's coming from someone who never reads sports manga. So it's a pretty good score.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, it was fast paced to me. I feel like it went by really quickly, and we saw a lot just in 40 chapters. However, yes, I do agree that we need more story. Like, where is it going to go from here? I'm not sure, and I know it's going to be awesome. I just don't know what it's going to be. So I wish that, I would like to see more of that. And I just felt like I was part of the team. So while I was reading it, I was like, I feel like I'm part of them. And I like that journey, feeling like you're part of the journey. So I definitely enjoyed it. And if you're a fan of sports manga, I think you'll love it. And if you're not, I think you'll still love it because it's just really exceptional.
Yeah. I'm going to give it an 8 as well. I think Ace of Diamond does very, very well. Character development, does like the pacing of the character development and just the atmosphere and everything is just really exceptional. Like, I think the art is fantastic. And I love that it doesn't really cradle you into like going into the sport, so you don't get any like unnecessary exposition where you're just like Dodger, you said, like overwhelmed with everything. It's a very good balance of just being about the sport while also being about the characters, which sometimes sports anime and manga have a very hard time figuring out the correct balance. And so I'm really loving a lot of like how, like Lou said, it has some of those sports cliches in it, but it also like is kind of doing its own thing and definitely standing out. And so I also just love the characters. Miyuki, like I said, I can't wait for you guys to read more of him. I can't wait to get more into the baseball games because those they haven't really been a focus about what we read so far. And so in terms of like the sports side of it, we haven't really gotten into like the grit of it. And I'm so excited to like get to read that later. But I think it's an 8. Like everything it's done so far, there's emotion, nothing feels cheapened or anything like that. I think it hits all of the right notes. Just for a manga, for a great manga, it hits all of the correct notes. And so I think everybody should go and check this out, just because I love it so much and I think it's fantastic. So yeah, so that wraps up our discussion of Ace of Diamond. You all should definitely go and check it out. It's very quick read. Some of the chapters are only like 17 pages and there's a lot of action, so it goes very, very fast. You won't find yourself regretting it. I promise.
Yes, real good.
Real good. So I'm gonna go ahead and read read the description for the manga that we are reading next week, and chat gets to guess it. But I'm just gonna say y'all are gonna be so happy. All right. Blank is a normal 11-year-old boy living in Japan. Hopelessly idealistic and romantic, Blank begins to see his life take a subtle, though nonetheless startling turn to the adult when he meets the new girl in his class, Blank. It is then that the quiet boy learns just how fickle maintaining a relationship can be, and the surmounting difficulties of transitioning from a naive boyhood to a convoluted adulthood. When his father assaults his mother one night, Blank realizes another thing. Those whom he looked up to were not as impressive as he once thought. As his problems increase, Blank's once shy demeanor turned into voluntary reclusiveness. Rather than curing him of his problems and conflicting emotions, this merely intensifies them, sending him down the dark path of maturity in this grim coming-of-age saga. I'm guessing like 15,000 people got it in chat.
Hell yeah, Eric Master got it.
Yep. Oisumi Poon Poon.
I'm so glad
Yes.
that we rescheduled this for early in the year, because Lou and I were like, no, we have to hit this early.
Like legit, when we had to cancel it last time, I almost cried. Like I was crying because of the manga, but there was more crying that had because I had feels I needed to get out of me.
Right? Fuck.
That about describes it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, I am so excited. We are reading the rest of it, right?
Yes,
we're
we're finishing it.
We are reading volumes 7 through 13, chapter 69 through 147. We will once again be joined by our lovely friend Jimmy. So that is what we are discussing next week. Let's go around and shout out our stuff super fast. I'm Erin of Happily Erin. Weeb trash is what I am, it's what I live, it's what I do. If you want to check out my channel, it's Happily Erin. All the previous MangaPods are hosted there, as well as some like random splattering of videos. If you want to see me talk more about Miyuki, he is featured in my top 10 husbandos video. If you want to check that out, it's real quality. If you want to find me on any other social media, I'm Happily Erin all across the everything. Come and hang out, say hi, tweet me pictures of Miyuki on Twitter, and like I'll probably retweet them and stuff.
Hi everybody, I'm Dodger. You can find me potentially here if you're watching on Twitch. I stream at twitch.tv/dexbonus most days, and I also put up videos on youtube.com/pressheart to continue. I do gaming and anime stuff, and I also started a really dumb unboxing show with my fiance.
Oh, it's so
Would love it
good.
if you would check all of that stuff out. And yeah, on all the social medias, I'm at dexbonus. Come hang. We have fun. That's it.
I'm Lou from Lou Talks Anime. That's my channel. I don't talk about anime. Actually, sometimes I don't fucking know. My channel's a mess. I have only posted a couple of videos so far this year. One of them was a review on Detroit Metal City, which I like Detroit Metal City.
Yes, which is so good.
It's great.
Such a good series.
But yeah, let's talk about anime. You can talk to me there on my channel in the comments, or you can reach out to me on Twitter, which would probably be more practical, and that's at Lou Talks Anime. And yeah, that's my stuff.
Hey, and I'm AnimeIntensity. I'm Alyssa from AnimeIntensity. That's my YouTube channel, and I do a lot of anime-related things, a lot of different things depending on what I feel like it. But I have a Twitter and I have Instagram, both at AnimeIntensity. So if you want to see me there, I'm there. You could also talk to me, send me stuff on Twitter. I usually respond, but yeah, love anime, and thanks for having me once again. I totally appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you
great.
for coming on. You're so great.
It was a pleasure.
It was a fun time.
Definitely. We'll have to have you on again when we talk Ace of Diamond next time.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you. And thank you so much to chat both on Twitch and YouTube for joining us. You guys are awesome as always. We will be here same time, same place next week. Before I sign off, I do want to say if you want to find more MangaPod, you can head over to our subreddit, reddit.com/r/MangaPod. We have a schedule for all of our upcoming weeks hosted there, as well as a recommendation thread. So if there's a manga that you want us to check out, go ahead and post it in the thread there. We'll be here same time, same place, next week, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. talking about Oyasumi Poon Poon Volume 7 through 13, Chapters 69 through 147. We hope that you'll join us, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye.
Bye. Fuck yeah, Poom Poom next week.
Miyuki is the
Yes.
best. Miyuki is the best.